This is a code walkthrough for the example file SelectionIfElse.java. So before we start stepping through it, let me point out one thing, and that's the presence of this static class utilsFL. This is a template for some code you'll be writing in this week's assignment, so make sure that you have this on hand in your local working directory if you try to run this. Also, underneath the hood, it itself relies on the CS12 date class, so make sure you have that one on hand as well. As always, let's go ahead and compile this first. We will set a breakpoint on main, and let's start stepping through this and talk our way through it. Here we're setting up a couple of pieces of data for a score, a Boolean status, and we're setting a threshold passing score of 70 as a constant. So if we continue stepping on here we're setting up two pass and fail messages. And now we are relying on the readInt method of this class that you'll be writing to get inputs for our programs. So here we're simply providing some input prompt string, and we're returning an integer value for a score. And internally it's going to do all the scanner stuff and prompt us. So let's enter a score of 75, and we will step past that, and we've read the 75 in. And now we're asking a yes or no question in this if-else structure. Is the score 75 greater than or less than the passing score of 70? True or false? Well, of course it's true, so we're next going to execute this true branch on line 33. We're going to set the status value equal to true, and then notice that we jump over this false block entirely, and we jump down to the second if-else. Now, if this status value is equal to true, which obviously it is, we're going to execute this true branch, line 42 only, and ignore the false branch. So we're going to set the message equal to this passing message, and then either way we're going to print out the result of our checks, which is this message. Good enough? So let's run this again for a false case. I'll step through this a little bit more quickly now. But here we're prompting for another score. Let's give it a failing score of, say, 45, and we've read that in. Now we're checking whether 45 is a passing score. Obviously it's false, so we're going to skip the true branch entirely, go to the false, set that flag, and now we're going to check which message we should print out. Well, now the flag itself is false, so we will jump past this to the false branch, set the failing message, and either way we're going to print out some kind of status message. So let me finish running through this. Let me take off the breakpoint and let me just run through this a couple times quickly. Let's put in a passing score of, let's give it a good score of 90. That's a pass message. And a failing score of 23, a no pass message. So again, this if-else structure is appropriate when we want to do one of two mutually exclusive things, and this is kind of artificial in this case. We could have just set the message in this upper if-else block, but what I wanted to illustrate here was that instead of doing something like this, for example, I can simplify that because the status variable itself is a Boolean, and we can simplify it to simply doing this. And again, now we're going to start getting all of our inputs with this static class utils with your initials, and inside of this is going to be encapsulated the scanner and all of its operations. Okay, that's it for this example.